All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and start up. This is the meeting of the Board of Supervisors for Tuesday, April 30th. First, we'll go ahead and call to order and ask for a roll call.
Yes, good morning. Let the record reflect all supervisors are present, with Supervisor Church appearing remotely from Amador County and Supervisor Adams just joining us.
Welcome. All right, with that, we'll ask if there's any additions or corrections for closed session today.
No additions or corrections.
All right, we have items 1A through D today on closed session. Is there any public comment on our closed session items? Seeing no hands up, seeing nobody in the room, we'll go ahead and close comment our closed session and recess to closed session, returning at 10:30 for our regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and reconvene the Board of Supervisors back into open session. Please let the record reflect that all members of the board are present with Supervisor Church participating remotely via Amador County, properly posted. At this point, I'm going to ask our Spanish interpreter to please share the statement about services available.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Ana Rueda de Vidales y voy a ser su intérprete esta mañana. Si ustedes necesitan interpretación, por favor acercarse y las podemos ayudar. Gracias.
Great. And I'm going to see if our county council doesn't mind leading us in the pledge this morning. All right. At this point, we'll turn and see if there's any additions or corrections.
There are. For the commencement of the Board of Supervisors meeting today, the meeting commencement of 9 a.m. on page 5 should reflect a start time of 9:30 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. And to the adjournment, to add to adjourn in memory of Josafat Eres Saldana.
Great. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I don't believe any of those need a motion. Is that correct, Council?
That's correct.
Okay, then proceeding, we've arrived at our ceremonial resolutions. Is there any public comment on our ceremonial resolutions? I don't see anybody coming forward in room. No hands up via Zoom. I'll bring it back for action. Moved by Askew.
Second.
Second by Adams. And then I'll ask the clerk to take us through a roll call vote.
Yes. Supervisor Root Askew. Aye. Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
Supervisor Alejo. Aye. Chair Supervisor Church.
Aye.
Chair Supervisor Lopez.
Aye. The motion carries. With that, we're going to send the first presentation over to Supervisor Askew. All right, so at this point, what I want to do is go ahead and proceed with the agenda. We'll come right back to this item. We're going to start with our appointments. We only have one on today. Is there any public comment on our appointments? Seeing none in room, I'm going to turn to staff. I don't believe we have any via Zoom either. Given that, I'll go ahead and make the motion myself, seeing as it's a Gonzalez appointment. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, so the motion is Lopez. The second is Alejo. With that, I'm going to go ahead and ask the clerk to take us through a roll call vote one more time on item 5.
Supervisor Root Askew. Aye. Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
Supervisor Alejo.
Aye.
Chair Supervisor Church.
Aye.
Supervisor Lopez.
Motion carries, and we'll return now to our ceremonial resolutions with Supervisor Askew taking the lead. So at this point, we're going to, well, I don't want to take consent without Supervisor Askew, so I'm going to jump to public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to share comment on items not on today's agenda. We invite folks to use the raise hand function via Zoom or come forward in room. We'll give 2 minutes per speaker, 2 minutes. So we'll start in room. Any public comment this morning? Seeing nobody coming forward, we'll see if we have anybody via Zoom. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and come back to Supervisor Askew. Third time's a charm?
We're going to get this right. Make this happen. Okay, thank you for your patience. So it's my honor today to present a resolution proclaiming April 29th through May 5th as Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week in Monterey County. There's a lot of whereases here, and there's a long story to tell about how we got to the point where we have a board of supervisors that is as committed to this issue as we are. We adopt this resolution every year, recognizing the incredible team from behavioral health that has stepped up to lead maternal mental health task force here in Monterey County. The work that our local partners have done to gain education and understanding, outreach into the community, to make sure that we're serving all of the parents who are welcoming babies and children into their families. Maternal mental health is essential to families' overall health and well-being. And what we know across the country is that untreated maternal mental health conditions affect the development of a baby, resulting in increased risk of physical and mental conditions in the infant post-birth, impacting the family, the child, and the community health. We also know that women who failed to receive treatment for postpartum mental health issues continue to suffer for the duration of their lifetime and are at a higher risk of mental health disorders later in life. So we also know that maternal mental health is fully treatable, and with the right resources and the right supports, families can thrive and live happy, healthy, productive, full lives. So I'm not going to read all of our resolutions, but I would like to invite the incredible team who's here today. We have Monterey County Behavioral Health with us. We have Mamas with us. We have CBDIO with us today. I might be missing others, but come on up, please. And you can all stand here and we'll look at the cameras over there. And I'm going to invite Relendas from Behavioral Health to make a few comments, and then we've got a couple others who want to comment as well.
I just am here representing behavioral health, but also representing the task force, which is now comprised of so many community agencies who are interested in supporting maternal mental health. And our collaborations are strong and growing stronger with each meeting. We now have one partner who has developed a doula training and backbone program, which will be bringing doulas to our community to serve a Medi-Cal population, which has not happened before. So I feel really honored to stand up here on behalf of all of those partners who support birthing families. Do you want to go next, Maria?
Yes. Buenos días. Good morning. I am representing Mama de Salinas Abogan, Bright Beginnings, supporting the maternal mental health. It's very important to make awareness for maternal mental health and to continue making change in the systems in the community. Yeah, thank you. Yes, even invite for today, we have a walk in the Dorado Park, also in Castro, North County, Castro in this May 2nd, and planning for the South County, lo que es Greenfield. So we have a very exciting walk-ins, awareness in maternal mental health. Thank you so much, all.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, good morning. We're representatives of Centro Binacional. We want to appreciate the county for helping us and giving this opportunity to the indigenous community and giving this program of maternal mental health to our community, Triqui and Mixteco.
Thank you so much for being a partner. So we'll take some footage. Did I get resolutions to everyone? We'll get them framed here. But I did want to just acknowledge the county's role and behavioral health's role. It wasn't that long ago, 15 years ago, that this work was done all by nonprofit kind of volunteer leadership. and to have the county step up in the way that it has to provide the forum for everyone to come together, to coordinate the meetings, to keep everyone moving forward, to coordinate with the Alliance for Health. In Monterey County, 70% of our babies are born to moms with Medi-Cal. And so the county does have a responsibility to ensure that all of those families have access to prenatal care, to postpartum care, and care that fully provides for the physical and mental and emotional health of those families. So thank you to the county team who has made this a priority. I'll just also finally mention that the theme nationally for Mental Health Month this year is to tell your story. And so I hope that we can continue to provide the safe places for each one of us, moms, dads, grandparents, children, to tell the story of what emotional well-being and mental health means for you and the ways that you've been able to ask for help when you need it. Let us know what the challenges in receiving that support look like. And for our photo, I do want to invite my colleagues from the board down and our CAO, if you wouldn't mind, because I know that we all have our own stories to share. We talk a lot about maternal mental health, but I'm going to recognize my colleagues and say paternal mental health matters too. And when a mom is not healthy, her family is not healthy, and her partner is not healthy either. So we're in this together, and we really appreciate having the support of the full board. So thank you. Okay, move on in. Get cozy.
While they take that photo, I want to thank all the partners who've really taken this issue on and made it public. I think it's one of those issues that for so long we allowed to live in dark spaces and places, but by shining light on it, we're able to bring solutions. And I say that from a very personal space. I know some of you have heard me tell my story from the dais as well as in other rooms. When our son came into the world, my wife and I really found difficult moments to conquer together, but it took its toll on us. It took finding resources, and so many of you were part of our team in that moment. And I've shared, I know I come from a place of privilege, sitting on this dais, being the chair of First Five, and yet I couldn't find the right solution for my family. And I say that because there's no silver bullet, right? There is no single solution to the crisis that we experience. Everybody's door that they need to walk through is different, and making sure that as many as possible are open to our community is being part of that solution, and you guys are those doors. And there's so many more out there who couldn't be here this morning, but as somebody who continues in that struggle, I just want to thank you all for the work that you do every single day to make sure that our families know they're not alone, regardless of barriers, whether it be language, a new place. We know that you guys are our champions out in our communities, so thank you for doing the work every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, Sitting Chair Lopez today. Yeah. All right.
Supervisor Lopez, I'd like to make a quick comment as well. And it's a comment just to say thank you to all of you for the work that you do, the volunteerism, and what you put forward. What I love about programs like this is the leadership that it builds within the participants from both sides, but particularly in my heart, I just appreciate very much the opportunities that dealing with hardship can provide. And I feel that you have been able to just come to the fore, come to the front, and I thank you so much for all of the time that you have put into this very, very important subject. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So our next resolution is to recognize the Birth Network of Monterey County as we celebrate Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week. And I'm honored to invite representatives of the Birth Network to join us.
I saw one of those members staffing you, and that was the coolest staffing moment ever. Your mom staffing you, that was really cool. She took a photo.
We got this. So it's my absolute honor and privilege to be standing here with my mom, who is the current president, volunteer president of the Birth Network of Monterey County. And there's all these, again, a whole bunch of resolution and whereases, but I just want to say that, I grew up in a home where my mom's career and life work was to give selflessly, without pay, in service to women who were struggling, whether it was struggling to prepare for childbirth, whether it was women struggling to nurse their babies, whether it was moms struggling to pull things together. And as we think about how to institutionalize that type of work, the Birth Network is a small local nonprofit that has really done that and brought others and created space for others to step into their leadership and service. And so as we celebrate Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week, the Birth Network here in Monterey County has really been at the forefront of keeping this topic alive, of forcing the conversation when it wasn't, embraced by the institutions, of creating spaces for training and education, even when those spaces weren't formalized or formally funded. So we've come a long way, Mom, and I've learned a lot from watching you work and be a public servant in the most grassroots of ways. So I will present this to you and give you guys a chance. Who's our speaker today? Briefly. Okay. I love you.
Well, it's incredible for me to stand here with my daughter and to see the work that she's done to move things forward. And yes, she grew up with placentas in the freezer that I had for my childbirth classes. And the parents were going, ew, what is that? And she's going, that's the baby house. She grew up with eons and eons of mothers coming through and sitting on the couch as I tried to help them with a breast pump or with breastfeeding. I mean, just all of those things. So she's the best of me. Her dad is very involved in politics and always told me, go to Sacramento, you can make a big change. I said, no, I can do one mother, one baby, one boob at a time. And I have, but to watch how she's been able to move things forward on a level that I don't understand how to do. I'm so proud and so lucky, and we have so many stories, and I could never believe that I'd be standing here with my daughter. The Birth Network was started in 2007. I know I've got like one more second, but it's a very important group. It's all nonprofit. It's all volunteers who are partners in the perinatal year, and the passion and the love and the work that everybody in the group does is amazing. It's just amazing. So thank you to the Board of Supervisors for this recognition as to how important and valuable this work is. It feels very validating for us to keep moving, and we still have some boulders to push uphill, but we've had some big ones go up.
We have. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mom. And I'll just mention, not to credit the Birth Network, but I will say one of the things that the Birth Network has been talking about since the beginning is how do we expand doula programs, which is a support person during childbirth. How do we get doulas into our, Natividad Hospital? How do we get doulas available to every mom? And the fact that the state of California this last year included doulas for all Medicaid mamas in the Medicaid CalAIM expansion is absolutely incredible. And I have to believe that it's because of hundreds and thousands of moms, of advocates, of volunteers like Gail, who've been pounding on that drum for decades. The fact that we're now going to be expanding doulas to every one of our birthing families who has Medi-Cal here in Monterey County will be transformational. And so thank you for being that voice and that champion collectively that allows big changes to move forward. So keep up the good work. I love you. And really proud of everything you're doing. Yeah. Okay.
All right, as they wrap, we're going to send Supervisor Adams down for our final presentation this morning.
Ooh, mine's already framed. I am very pleased to have the honor today to acknowledge Miriam Haddad as the recipient of the Monterey County Youth Poet Laureate by the Arts Council for Monterey. I'll have Miriam come up in a sec, but I just wanted to say that I've always viewed poetry as sort of the language of angels. You know, the way that thought can be carried forward in such a lovely, dancing wave is really a trait that I admire, that I do not have, but how fortunate we are to have the ability to encourage poetry in the youth. I think that's really important. So I'm going to ask Miriam to come forward. Hopeful that, there we go. And I'll go ahead and read all of the whereases before I hand it over to you, if you don't mind a little embarrassment. But it's a real, I'm just tickled to be standing next to you. I want you to know that. So today we are adopting a resolution honoring Miriam as the recipient of the Monterey County Youth Poet Laureate by the Arts Council for Monterey County, whereas Miriam is the second recipient of the Monterey County Poet Laureate by the Arts Council for Monterey County, with a one-year term starting this month. And whereas Miriam is a student at Pacific Grove High School, she is the president of the mock trial team, vice president of the Young Writers Club, and an officer of the Interact Club at PG High. Miriam has also been recognized as the winner of the 2023 Dr. Elliot Ruchowitz Roberts Monterey County High School Poetry Award. That's a big mouthful right there, with her winning poem published in Teen Link magazine. Whereas the mission of the Youth Poet Laureate is to elevate poetry in the awareness of Monterey County residents and to help celebrate the literary arts, to serve as an advocate for poetry, literature, and the arts, to lead a community project that makes poetry more accessible, and contribute to Monterey County's poetry and literary legacy. And whereas Miriam will elevate the exposure, participation, and celebration of poetry in Monterey County through the lens of the people. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, on behalf of the county and all of the residents, we hereby recognize and honor you as the current recipient of the Monterey County Youth Poet Laureate by the Arts Council for Monterey County. Thank you so very, very much. It's a real honor to present this very small token of your award. Would you like to say a few words? You want to speak for? If you don't mind.
Good morning. I'm Jackie Atchison, the Executive Director of the Arts Council for Monterey County. And again, I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for supporting this program that we started about a little over a year ago. And as we end the National Poetry Month of April, I'd like to introduce Miriam Haddad to recite one of her original poems.
Thank you.
Hello. This poem I'm going to recite is called Never Alone. I'm not like the big, wide ocean, taking in the depths of the sea. Nor am I the itsy-bitsy spider, who we fear more than the depths of the sea. I'm like a quiet piano, abandoned in a home, fingers playing, but not playing, more like sounding, like testing to see if I'm tuned, like I'm trotting, taking small steps like they're my first, soon to be my last. And I still haven't grown from the last mistakes I've conceded. And I say sorry every time I look in the mirror, and I give myself a kiss on the cheek with my palms. To always forget would be a regret, that I'm not as big or wide as the ocean, yet I'm not smaller than the tiniest spider in the whole wide world. And I'm not like the quiet piano. I'm not abandoned. I've already taken my first steps, and my last aren't soon. I have grown from my mistakes. And yes, I still say sorry to myself, but not in the mirror. And yes, I do give myself a kiss on the cheek with my palms. Only, always, and forever with my palms. And then I say thank you, because I'm living where others will not. I'm not alone. I never will be when I'm on my side. Thank you.
Thank you for the beautiful poem. I think all of us have been graced by that. And do you want to say anything else at this point? Well, then why don't we take a picture? I'll put this down and I'll have you hold this.
Okay.
Oh, can I jump in? Just as a fellow PG Highbreaker alumni, I just want to say you make us really proud. Keep up the good work. Really, really awesome to have you here with us today. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we're going to come back. Just to recap, we've completed our appointments, and now we're going to look at our consent calendar and see if there's a member of the board who wishes to pull an item from consent. None to my right, any from my left? Supervisor Church?
Yeah, I would like to pull 28 just for a couple questions.
We'll pull 28. Let's go ahead and take those questions now.
Good. So inside there in the board report, it refers to having stakeholders survey residents and employers, and I'm trying to get an idea of what those stakeholders would be, who they would be, and exactly what are we trying to achieve with that survey.
Is there somebody from either contracts purchasing or
Sustainability
Cora
program?
who might want to answer that question? Okay, Cora?
Hi, supervisors. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Awesome. Thank you. So the goal of the survey is to understand transportation needs by residents throughout the county. There is going to be a focus with this survey on the agriculture and also the hospitality and tourism sectors. So the goal of the survey is to understand how people are getting to work, when they need to go to work, how they're getting around in between work. And the survey itself will go to many different respondents. That hasn't been developed yet, but Mobicon, the consultants who will be working with us based on this item, will help us come up with that. And then we'll also be talking with our transportation authorities and major employers throughout the county.
Cora, yeah, when I read this and here, it refers to this really being geared for employees of small and large businesses and low income populations as well as farm workers. But I do notice, as you just stated, elsewhere it refers that this study and this work is to be focused on farm workers and hospitality. And I don't know if it's too expensive to expand or it's just outside the scope in some way, but there's a lot more low-income population than farm workers and hospitality, and I'm not sure if we're really getting the gist on the small businesses, on what they need, or the employees of small businesses, what they need, because of course agriculture and hospitality are our two largest industries and tend to have some larger businesses involved. So I just hoping that maybe it could be focused a little broader at some of the other low-income populations, workforce, I should say, I guess, and small businesses.
Thank you, Supervisor, for bringing that up. The aim of this is to be as expansive as possible. So we're trying to focus on our major industries, but yes, we want to make sure we're working with stakeholders at every level, and we'll definitely keep that feedback in mind as we move this forward.
Yeah, thank you. I think it'd be important if we're doing a study to understand that if we do a study with the farm workers and hospitality, it's only going to represent farm workers and hospitality. So appreciate your work and your clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to take it out to the public, see if there's any members of the public who wish to pull an item from consent this morning for either comment or questions. I see no one coming forward in room. Clerk's indicating nobody via Zoom. We'll close public comment. I've got a motion from Alejo. Is there a second? Got a second from Askew. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor Askew? Aye. Supervisor Adams?
Aye.
Supervisor Alejo? Aye. Chair Supervisor Church?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Supervisor Lopez?
Aye. The motion carries. At this point, we'll recess the Board of Supervisors and convene the Monterey County Water Resource Agency. So the Board of Supervisors of the Monterey County Water Resource Agency is being called to order. Let the record reflect that all members are present, with Chair Supervisor Glenn Church participating remotely via Amador County. So at this point, we'll see if there's any additions or corrections to this agenda.
There are none.
Great. So we only have a consent agenda on this particular agenda, and that is items 1 through 4. Is there a member of the board who wishes to pull an item from consent? Seeing none, we'll go out to the public, see if there's a member of the public who wishes to pull an item from consent. I've got a motion for consent. Is there a second? Motion from Alejo, second from Askew. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Askew? Aye. Supervisor Adams?
Aye.
Supervisor Alejo?
Aye.
Chair Supervisor Church?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Supervisor Lopez?
Aye. With that, we've arrived at general public comment on the Water Resource Agency agenda. Is there a member of the public who wishes to make general public comment under this agenda? Seeing no one coming forward in room, no hands up via Zoom, we'll adjourn and return to the Board of Supervisors agenda, reconvening. With that, let the record reflect that all members of the board are present, with Chair Supervisor Church participating remotely via Amador County. At this point, we're going to jump to our scheduled matters. Let's begin with item 8, to receive a status report on the county's annual spend for fiscal year 20 through 23 and fiscal year 24. We'll turn it over to our contracts and purchasing team.
Good morning. I'm going to stand so that those that are supporting me this morning will have the seats. I am Deborah Wilson. I am the County Contracts and Purchasing Officer. I have with me today Jaime Ayala, Deputy Purchasing Agent, and Jessica Amesqua. She is a new management analyst that is shared between contracts and purchasing, as well as the Sheriff's Office rather. So this morning, to Chair Supervisor Church, Vice Chair Lopez, the body, the board, Board of Supervisors, our newly appointed County Counsel, Susan Blitch, and of course, our leader, County Administrative Officer, Sonia De La Rosa. We're coming to present to you our County of Monterey Annual Spend Report. First, I want to start by saying that from 2019 until now, it's taken us this long to bring this report forward. A couple of reasons is because of COVID-19 that happened in 2020. My predecessor, Mike Durer, was scheduled to bring the 2020 report to you then when COVID hit. So from COVID-19 in 2020 all through spring of 2023, between the wildfires, the River Fire, I'm sure you're aware of, the Dolan Fire, Carmel Fire, then some of my staff was deployed. Mike Durer, Tom Skinner, and Jaime from my office went to Butte County for the emergency mutual aid request in 2020. Following the Willow Fire in 2021, the atmospheric fire and flooding, December 22, and then of course in January 2023, the winter storms and the Pineapple Express in 2023. We can keep going on with all of the declared emergencies that we've had. And so we haven't been able to bring this to you. So I'm excited to be able to bring this to you today. Before I do that, I wanted to start with then 2019, because that's where we left off. And some of you weren't present when we gave that presentation, or my predecessor rather gave that presentation. And so we're going to, we pull it up? Okay. So we're going to start with 2019 just to bring us all to today. So in 2019, what was presented before the board was the money spent by the County of Monterey. So total procurement of all goods and services procured was $533.4 million. The total procurement dollars spent within that county, just the County of Monterey alone, was $176.3 million. And then out of that, we have our specialty, our certified or specialty vendors. And in that year, it was $87.5 million that was spent, or $05 million that was spent, and that was in 2019. We're going to show you the big difference between 2019 and what we're currently going to see. So what we've done, because of the essence of time, is we've taken fiscal years 2020 all the way through fiscal year 2023 to provide you with a summary, not to belabor the time, and then we'll go into the current year. So in all of those, go back for me, please, thank you. So in all of those 4 years, the total procurement for goods and services was $1.6 billion. Of course, this is estimated dollar amounts. The total procurement within California was $1.2 billion, and the total procurement within the County of Monterey was $543.7 million. And again, those specialty vendors, out of that money spent was $146.7 million. So this information is extrapolated out of our Advantage system, our current Advantage system, our financial system. And so the total procurement for goods and services, when we say $1.6 billion, that's covering everything, not just California, but all states and provinces as well. That's the $1.6 billion. Go back for me one more time. And out of that, just in California, it was 1.2. And again, just in the County of Monterey, we spent $543.7 million. Okay. So we have various vendor types. We have specialty vendors and certified vendors. We have the disabled veteran business enterprise, certified green, minority business, women-owned business, small business, nonprofit, and local. I want to say that we currently have a vendor self-service product that sits on the outside of our Advantage product, where vendors are able to self-register. And when they self-register, they self-designate themselves in one of these categories. If they do not designate themselves in one of these categories, we're unable to capture that and able to provide that accuracy to determine if spending was actually spent in those areas. But if they have identified themselves, then we are able to extrapolate that information. In August of 29th of 2012, the board adopted the local preference policy, which allows the county to encourage a greater contract participation by local vendors. And in so doing, in most of our general services that we go out to bid for, and also in some of our other businesses within Public Works, we're able to provide for them in the evaluation scoring an extra 5 points because they're a local vendor. And that was adopted in 2012. Okay, Jaime, go ahead.
All right, so during 2020 to 2023, this is for the, again, those certified vendors. If you can see that we've had a total of vendors in certified green business that registered at 302, and the sum of the contract for them is $15.7 million, which is a 10% of the overall spent of $146 million within those categories. That's just those categories who have self-designated for those time periods from 2020 to 2023.
I'll go back.
Go back.
Yeah. So I just want to, again, if you look at that, we have the local business is what we really want to focus on. So we have that 25% of that money spent was in local business. And then for small businesses, it was $62.7 million. And so we really are trying to expand our reach to small businesses, small and local.
So during our 2024 procurement summary, that's obviously we haven't finished that fiscal year, but as of when reports were run was at the end of March, the total procurement of goods and services was $344.3 million. And within the state of California, we have spent $242.3 million. The total procurement within just Monterey County was $99.3 million. And of those services, local, small, women-owned, nonprofit, and minority businesses was $42.2 million. You want to take that? And following that same trend in 2024, follows with our local and small businesses and minority-owned. You can see where we're headed for this. And at present moment, and I believe that was as of Monday, I think is when they ran the report, we have a total active vendors who have registered with the County of Monterey is 7,223 active vendors. And again, as Deborah said, they self-designate whether they are small, local, minority, women-owned. We have no way of doing that for them, but of those, you got 469 vendors that of the 7,223 vendors that we've done in 2024.
Thank you, Jaime. So let's talk a little bit about our procurement card expenditures. The county has a county procurement card program, and we currently have 516 open cards. And we also have, and I want to mention, a new NeoGov online training program. And our CAO has required that those individuals that are going to receive new cards go through the training. Individuals that are having renewal cards go back through the training. And individuals that are having a hard time with compliance attend the training again. So again, we have 516 open cards. From the inception from 2020 to 2024, we've spent $48.3 million on credit cards. If you look at fiscal year 2020 and 2021, and that was during the COVID years and some of our declared emergencies, you can see that the spending, especially in 2021, was at $14 million. And if we look down where it says hotel spending, it was $3.3 million, because that was during the declared emergencies when we put people in hotel rooms during that time, not just COVID, but also the fires when we had, we used different hotels all across the county, from King City, Marina, for those individuals that were displaced from their housing. And so it is identified by year, by fiscal year, and the majority of it was spent in fiscal year 2021 at $14 million. And then, as you can see, we're getting better and less spending coming into this fiscal year. We're at $7.5 million, but we still have a few months left. I want to also say that one of the benefits that we have in using the procurement card with U.S. Bank are the rebates. So currently, we have a rebate of $598,000 that we've received across for 5 fiscal years. Contract engagement. I want to talk a little bit about how we engage in contracting and how we engage our vendors and our community. We have advertisements that we're using. Somebody asked me recently, how come we don't use the Herald or the Californian, and it has to do with cost and value. And so we've found that the Monterey County Weekly has the best cost, and it also reaches those areas, and it's about $125 per legal notice, and it lasts a week. But we also have found that the King City, it's the Russell Salinas Valley Tribune, that we're able for only $325 to have a whole month of visibility. In the Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, King City, it's usually only in the South County cities. And so we're now also leveraging that for larger projects. We're also going to talk about our countywide service agreements and then our cooperative agreements. So our current countywide service agreements, these are services that contracts and purchasing goes out to bid for so that the county at large can utilize these services as they need them. And the services are listed on the left-hand side. We currently have a total of 19 to 20 countywide service agreements. And I say 19 to 20 because out of 20, one of those agreements or 2 of those agreements are actually cooperative agreements that we're going to talk about that we didn't actually go out to bid for. And then out of those, we have a total of individual agreements. Within that 19 or 20, we have 80 agreements that we manage. And so that means that we go out to bid, and one service can have 5 vendors, one service could have 10 vendors, but across all of them, there's 80 that we have an analyst that manages those, and that means has to go out and make sure that all of those never go out of compliance, and that they don't expire before the service is up. So we have a total of local vendors that are providing those countywide services. 51% of that population is of local vendors, and that's really good, that over 50% of those that are providing countywide service agreements are actually coming from our own community. The cumulative contract amount, that means the unencumbered amount that has been approved by the board, is $44.9 million. And that simply means that that's the amount of money that we believe that we budget, that we believe that we're going to need across more than just one fiscal year, because most of these agreements are 5 years, 5-year term. And so far, we have expended in this fiscal year $29.8 million of that 44.9. Now, in our cooperative agreements, we use the cooperative agreements also across all county departments, and we use that to leverage. It's somewhat like our job ordering contracting that we have for Public Works and also Natividad Medical Center. And the cooperative agreement purchasing enables government agencies to utilize shared competitive bidding instead of running a redundant RFP or RFQ process similar in need. So local governments or municipalities can use cooperative purchasing to leverage a contract that another local government has already created through a competitive bidding process, and it streamlines the procurement process. So when our county utilizes those, we utilize them specifically for goods and services, such as shredding services, sandbags, and our MREs that we use during declared emergencies. Primarily, these are leveraged by the following departments: and the Public Works Facility and Parks, of course, Information Technology, Department of Emergency Management, Monterey County Sheriff's Office, Contracts and Purchasing, Fleet, and Water Resources. And those that we currently are in, that we integrate with, are on the left-hand side. Those are our cooperatives, and those are the websites. And the reason why we use these, not just because it's easier for us to use them, we have a larger span of compatibility. There's also other advantages and incentives. We are on a larger, again, metropolitan jurisdictions to obtain the best pricing. So we also receive incentives and rebates. And during the storms and during the excessive use and excessive purchasing from Granger, for example, from fiscal year, we received a rebate of $11,495. And so far from Granger, we've received $18,984. And Staples rebate is one of those countywide service agreements that we use for goods and office supplies. And in fiscal year 2020, we received $13,491. And in fiscal year 2022, $21,495. And I'll be interested to find out what we get this year. And Jaime is the analyst that manages our surplus, so I'll let him do this part.
So on surplus, as I think several supervisors here have benefited from our surplus program. Currently, or for 2019, we did a cost savings to the county by utilizing this program of $116,000. That means that the county doesn't necessarily have to spend that $116,000 to acquire furniture for new employees or new offices that the county may be opening up. And that shows that we had 103 visitors or customers, as we'd like to call them. In 2020, we saved $51,000, and the drop was primarily because we became COVID central, so our warehouse was filled with PPE and whatnot. But we still were able to manage and utilize the surplus program with 85 patrons coming through. In 2021, we had 44,000 savings with 66 patrons coming through. And in 2022, we had 22,059 people coming through. In 23, you can see a slight increase. It's starting to peak back up with $52,000 in savings. And in 2024, I ran a report. It wasn't on the slide, but we've got, as of April 26th, we've had $50,000, 450 in cost savings to the county by utilizing the surplus program. And much of that was $25,000 was San Benito County when they had their devastating fires. They came through and they basically wiped us out. They took a lot of our stuff and they were very grateful for it. So we were able to help them. And just a note that we've got a surplus sale coming up, if you guys are interested, or if any of the public is interested in acquiring surplus furniture, we've got a public sale coming up May 10th at our local 1488 Shillings Place.
Thank you, Jaime. And also, we have that flyer that's going out with Pasculi. It's going out in English and in Spanish for the community, for people to participate in the surplus sale coming. So our future spend reports, as you know, that the county is in the process of implementing the new enterprise resource plan through Oracle. And I'm excited that this spend report will be a whole lot easier when that goes into place. The vendor registration process is going to change tremendously. It's going to be in real time, which means that we don't have to wait for a batch process or for vendors to register and then have to wait for the next day for them to be live. They'll be live at the point of registration. One of the other things that is going to be a benefit is that in order for a vendor or a contractor to participate in any of our solicitations, they have to be registered. In our current system, they do not have to be registered. But in order for them to be a vendor, they have to. And we talked about those specialty certifications and specialties. In our system, we're setting up an Oracle that for them to register and to complete their registration, they have to at least visit that place to designate themselves. If there is no designation, they can say non-applicable, but at least they have to identify, or they have to at least visit that area so that we can identify them, whether they are one of the certified vendors in one of those categories. The vendor spend reports are, again, going to be in real time. You're going to be able to pull up a vendor and know exactly how much money has been encumbered, how much money has been expended by just pulling up that vendor. When you get ready to engage into a contract or buy goods, that information comes up automatically, as I understand it, as we're looking at the system now and developing it. The contract management portal will also be transparent. We'll be able to see contracts across the county so that all departments will be able to see another department's contract. And this is really good for transparency because it also keeps the vendor into compliance when it comes to competitive pricing, making sure that one department is not being charged or not different than the other department. And so we're going to be able to have that level of transparency. And the contract spend reports, again, we'll be able to pull up a contractor, and be able to pull spend reports not outside of the system that we currently had to do, or sometimes manual, but it will be right there all in one system. Another great benefit is the procurement card purchase transparency. We're going to be integrated. Our U.S. Bank is going to be integrated with Oracle. So we're also working on that. So our future spend reports are going to be a lot easier, and they're going to be a lot more transparent and a lot more accurate, I would believe, because the system is going to be pulled right, the information is going to be pulled right from the system in real time. And are there any questions? Thank you so much for your time.
Questions from my colleagues or comments? Supervisor Adams.
Believe it or not, I do have some questions. So, and they're more like cautionary. Number one, thank you so much for the presentation. I think it was very clear and transparent. And I think that companies are very fortunate to be able to contract with us because we are a big client. So I know that we are important in that regard. And I just wanted to ask a little bit about vendor vetting. And I know you indicated that there was a certification sort of process, but what I was wondering about is, do things like if they're solvent, if they have filed for bankruptcy, if they have any outstanding issues with the county, like unpaid, fines or that sort of thing, does anything like that come up when we're looking at who do we want to do business with?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Supervisor. So in our evaluation tool, when we go out to bid, when we go out to formal bid, that is one of the criterion that we're asking for. And of course, that we're asking for them to give us, and it's hopefully they're telling the truth, right, type of thing. And so we're doing that, and we also have references that we look at for the vendors. And these are only out for vendors that we're going out to bid for. So for vendors that we're just buying goods for, no, we don't have a mechanism. Yeah, we don't have a mechanism of doing that or checking that. And then, as we know, in real time, in real life, we usually find out issues when issues arise. A lot of times they're not forthcoming. And so when something happens, we deal with it as it comes. But no, that is part of our vetting process. We have an evaluation tool, and we ask them to, if there are any blemishes in their record or anything like that, and level of solvency, we also have them provide that information. For example, we're getting ready to, we have a tentative award going out for a vendor to take over the 1441 cafeteria. And and as we do that, we're working with our real property specialist, George Salcido, and he'll ask for bank reports for them. So there are times, depending on the complexity of the service, where we will ask those questions and obtain that information.
Thank you so much for that. I am happy to know that that's the path that we're on. And then a couple of other questions. When you were talking about which newspapers we advertise the legal terms in, do we look at all at the circulation numbers to see, are we getting the biggest bang for our buck? I know that, quite frankly, the weekly is, very widely circulated. The Carmel Pine Cone is more widely circulated than some of the other newspapers. But I was just sort of curious whether or not that factors into what it is that how we make the decision. And I know that down in South County, we've got the Rustler and that family and that organization. So there's, we don't have a lot of choices in that part of the county.
Right. So the weekly is I think like it's more broad ranged in terms and more cost efficient. And again, we have a week that we're able to have that legal notice be in place. We have found that in the others, we're only able to, the cost is probably a little bit more, and we only have 1 day. And so we need most of our publications to be at least a week, so that the vendor community can actually see it, right? We also have NeoGov. We were using a platform outside of, not NeoGov, it was Negometrics, excuse me, that we were using Mercell outside of our system so that we could reach a vast number of people. And we still use that for some components or some of our more complex RFPs. But for the most part, the ones that we've identified are the ones that we found to be. Now, of course, when we have big IT projects and things of that nature, we'll go out a little bit further than that, even in the Bay Area and so on and so forth. And then we have a database that's kind of more international that we can use. Again, that's the Negometrics that we use so that we can go out a little bit further so that we can find more people, and more vendors, more suitable. Like I said, it depends on the complexity of the RFP. But
what you're doing, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then this is my last question. It kind of goes back to the very beginning of the slide presentation when you were showing the percentage of small businesses, local businesses, women-owned businesses, et cetera. And I was just wondering, particularly between small and local, if there was any overlap and duplication, so to speak.
I don't believe there's any duplication, but we just had that conversation in our office before we came. I don't believe that there is duplication. I believe that the small, we've tried to delineate the small from local. Now that could be because if they're identifying as both in the vendor self-service portal, there could be some level of duplicity there, of overlap. But I don't think there's a lot of overlap. I think that in order for them to be small, they have to meet, there's one range. In order for them to be local, that's just their zip code. So.
Got it. Okay. I know that that's something that we all focus on. We are Monterey County. We ought to try to do as much business as we possibly can in Monterey County. And I very much appreciate all of your efforts to ensure that that happens. So thank you so much.
Supervisor Church, any comments or questions?
Yeah, a little bit here. Deborah, I'd really like to, really pleased to see as the topic you're just mentioning with Supervisor Adams that we're reaching to so many local and small businesses. It's just good to see that. So I really appreciate those efforts into there. Also really pleased to see that the Rustlers included. Yes. And I think, the broader we can expand notices, then more likely to get applicants that put the reply and better chance to get even a better price for any agreements that are made. And I know that's what we have to do for our legal requirements, but it's in the Herald and the Californian, or as you point out, are a lot more expensive, and that's part of the problem that comes when you lose local control as newspapers, as what's happened in newspaper industry. But it's really changing, and the whole environment on how to get information out because so few people are really reading the newspapers. So it seems to me that maybe to try to get as much competition in our bidding that maybe we have to even look beyond our traditional legal responsibilities and try to find some way to pull in social media or some of the other platforms that are out there. I don't know if that's being done anywhere else in the state or the nation, or we've considered down to this. It's just to try to get more eyeballs looking at what we put out. Is there, any efforts are being made in that way? Are there any pitfalls to that?
So, Supervisor Church, we are actually discussing that. We've been kind of trying to figure out how to do that. Maybe kind of create a web page where we actually do that. And I hadn't met with Nick. I'm going to reach out to him to see if there's a way where maybe we can send him our legal notice and maybe he can send it out to all the local, social media sites. So we are looking at that. We haven't quite implemented that, but we are going that route.
Oh, great. Great news. Thank you very much.
Okay, so my turn. I know we're going to go out to public still, but I just wanted to share, for me, this is one of those fun first ordinances that I got to really dig my hands deep on when I was an aide for Supervisor Salinas, and it's why it matters to me. It's why I push every year. I know at least once I raise the flag and say, hey, we haven't gotten this presentation in a while, but I really, it's critical for several reasons. One is to share with the public how much business we're doing locally. When we had this initial conversation, that percentage, the 5% we talked about going as high as 15% on the local preference. We settled back at 5 after the board at the time deliberated that number. But the important piece that there was a bit of resolution on was agreeing that it should come back annually for this report so the public was aware and had this opportunity to learn about how we expend our dollars to potentially plug in. So that leads to my first question, and it would be, I know we fund the Business Council to do work specifically with their Apex program to plug their vendors into the federal programs, right? That how our local vendors can make sure to access federal contracts. I'm wondering, have we had any cross-pollination there to ask them to also plug those same vendors into us to make sure all those same folks are applying into our system so that they potentially could get our contracts as well?
We haven't, but we will.
Great. They do? Okay, perfect. So maybe worth having the conversation one more time just to make sure we're fresh on that. I'd love to just make sure we're getting everyone at the same time plugged into our system. Right. I want to make sure that our local folks remain competitive. And then big picture, I think the number where we are today is a far cry from where we were in 2012. I remember back then we were around 8 to 10%, and it was a question of was it 8 or 10, and we were impressed by that at the time to a degree, but seeing 30% of those dollars now on average, looking over those numbers and doing the math in my head is impressive. So thank you for your work in this space and making sure that our local folks get elevated in that opportunity to do business with the county and earn some of those local dollars, which we know matter because then they revolve through our community more often at our grocery stores and our movie theaters and other opportunities. But Supervisor Askew, I saw you had some questions or comments.
Thank you, and thank you for your comments as well. I think it's totally aligned with where I was headed, and the fact that we had annual reports, and that was part of the, people have actually asked me like, hey, where's that report? Like, where are we at? So, there's now this community expectation in place. So to that point, on the, I think it's slide, or I don't know what page it is, but we talk about the total procurement for disabled veterans, certified green, small, local women, nonprofit, and minority businesses at $146.7 million. Do we have a breakdown? Do we also have a trend of what that breakdown in spend has been over maybe the last 5 or 10 years?
You mean what type of service?
No, I'm sorry, how much within each of those categories?
So I do have that. Unfortunately, that slide did not make it to the report, but I do have that. If you'd like me, I can send that information to you.
I would love that. Yeah, thank you. And then the other one that we've seen, I think in past, maybe not the last couple of years, but in past reports, has been the zip code breakdown within Monterey County. And I think that one was always really valuable and allowed allowed me to go back to local businesses within the zip codes that I represent and say, hey, listen, like, look at this. Like, you guys are doing really well. Like, you've got a lot of our local businesses who are receiving, significant contracts with the county in large part due to the Apex support that they were provided about how to go through the process, how to get registered. And that was a motivating factor for me to get other folks to say, hey, this is worth your time. You need to engage in this. In this research. So if we could get that breakdown as well by the zip code.
Definitely have that information.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get that.
We can include it in future reports as well.
That'd be fabulous. If we could just get that sent out, that would be great too. Yeah, and then I just piggyback again. I know Apex is, sort of tucking in the work that we have to help folks engage with Monterey County procurement, but for many of our small businesses and really nonprofits who are providing services and contract with the county, it is an overwhelming concept to start. I did it many years ago, going into the county website and trying to figure out, like, how do you fill out all these forms? What is all this information they're asking me for? And we, at some points, I know had offered like a little workshop on, how to engage in county procurement, how to fill out the paperwork, how to get the forms. And I don't know, are we doing that still? Do we have those opportunities on an annual basis?
We still are doing that.
We are, okay.
We are still doing that.
Okay.
And we also have a kiosk. We had a kiosk, but we also invite people to come over to 1488 Schilling, and we have vendors that will come and we'll walk them through the process.
We'll walk them through one-on-one. Okay, so we could just send them straight to you, and you will hand-hold through the process.
We will do that. Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. And for any of our small businesses that are paying attention and watching, the county does have a tremendous budget with a lot of things that we are required to provide, services, products, and we would love for you to get engaged and involved and see if this is an opportunity for you to partner with us. We would love to keep our dollars local as much as possible. So thank you.
All right, let's open this up for the public. Are there any members of the public who wish to share comments, thoughts, concerns about this report? I'm seeing nobody coming forward in room. Do we have hands up via Zoom?
Yes, phone number ending in 837.
Phone number 837, the floor is yours. You've got 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Brian Rosen. I was waiting for the general public comment period, and it never happened. I only heard something about the water board, comments, and it looks like
open that, Mr. Rosen.
I was on the line. Somebody misspoke or said water board instead or something, because it was nothing about public comments. And you're not. You did not open that up.
I did open it. Thank you. Do you have any comment on this item?
Whatever. No, I mean, I don't think that. No, not on this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Dayton.
Mr. Dayton.
Hello, Kevin Dayton speaking on behalf of Monterey Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. And I apologize, I had prepared a letter, but we were not able to get it in time. Couple of things to know. First of all, thank you for producing this report again. Yes, it is supposed to be submitted annually and hasn't been in for a few years, but it's good to have it back again and see what's going on. A couple of things that I noted in this. First, it would be good in the future to have a chart or table showing trends over the years, because I have a report given in 2017 that I did the calculations myself, and the Monterey County procurement was at 37%. And for the one that's for 2024, it's for 28%. And once again, that could be completely a distortion of, certain huge contracts from out of the county that skew things. So there's probably a few ways to calculate it. But I thought that was noteworthy. And I looked at a couple of the other numbers, and it seems to be over time. So just to be aware of that. The second thing is something that I brought up when this report came up back in 2017. We don't really get an idea of whether or not that local preference policy actually makes a difference. And I remember speaking about this at the time and staff saying, you know what, we don't really have a computer system that can do that. And we don't really think the local preference program really made much of a difference at all for any contracts. it might be interesting to try to do something at some point to say, does that local preference policy actually make a difference at all? And if not, is this something that concerns us? If the percentage is really going down over time from 37 to 28%, maybe there needs to be an examination of local preference policy and say, what's going on?
Thank you, Mr. Dayton. Anybody else? All right. Seeing no other hands, we'll bring it back.
I just wanted, for the speaker, I did want to just go back because you did go to general public comment as we were waiting for resolutions to come out. I even had to ask you twice. There was no public, there was no public comment. So just, if you go back, look at the video, you did do it for the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just raise their hand, 705, phone number 705.
I already closed public comment, so I'm gonna proceed here and just thank you and your team for bringing forward this report. I think it's really important that we continue to do them every single year as required by the ordinance, and understand all the pressures that put us in a position where we're at today. But I think I agree with Mr. Dayton on that point about wanting to see how many contracts fall within that 5%. I know in the past that was the response, that we weren't able to find that without manually going through and checking every single bid. But if there's perhaps a box we check in our process moving forward to be able to, as we do each contract, put that forward, I do think that that would be helpful. And knowing if, folks are falling at 6%, 7%, it'd be nice to bring back an option maybe to raise that local preference percentage if the data shows that. So I think tracking that might help us make more impactful decisions from the positions we're in. But thank you again for doing this work. And one more time, May 10th is the next surplus sale, right?
Maybe.
Additionally, we've given nonprofits sort of first shot. Is that an option this time?
Actually, nonprofits are after the surplus sale, so they always come afterwards. And there will be.
So nonprofits, keep your eyes out as well. There'll be an opportunity to pick up some furniture.
There's a lot of good things.
A lot of really good.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Very tempting.
All right. Then with that, we're going to bring it back to the dais here and go to our CAO for her administrator's comments.
Great. So I do want to start by first thanking the contracts purchasing team for taking time to be here this morning in support of Deborah's presentation. And also, it really is a great idea to bring it once a year because it truly identifies and puts on a platform the great work that's being done by your team, not just in the 1 year, but through the years. So thank you all so very much. Just a couple more comments. Budget hearings are scheduled for the end of May, and so for those interested in listening in and providing some feedback, that'll be, again, posted with our agendas, but it is at the end of May. I believe it's the 29th and 30th, but I may be misspeaking. I'll double check. And then we also have on May 7th, we have the DSA discussion that's been scheduled and also the revenue enhancement discussion. It's being agendized for May 7th. And just confirming the budget hearings are on the 29th and 30th of May. The Pajaro Disaster Assistance Center did wrap up last week, so our team is going through those applications and the assistance. And we do have a strategic goals discussion and measurable key objectives that's coming on May 14th before the board. Lastly, I do just want to provide a little feedback in terms of the Civil Rights Office and the great work that they're doing. This is the department that's being highlighted this week and for this meeting. And they have launched the County of Monterey's first equity survey, which will provide insight to the county management and employees to create more inclusive workplace where everyone truly belongs. They've collaborated with the Department of Social Services to offer collaborative problem-solving conflict resolution webinars. That will be the first step to the Civil Rights Office Conflict Management Academy. And they supported the Department of Emergency Management through the Pajaro recovery efforts. Lastly, they are currently working on community groups and Equal Opportunity Civil Rights Advisory Commission on the development of the county's 24-25 Equal Opportunity Plan. The document helps the county workforce represent the community that it serves. So those are my comments for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Referrals? No new referrals? Perfect. Then we'll jump to board comments. I'll start to my left. Supervisor Adams.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Lopez, Interim Chair. I just want to make a couple of quick comments. First, I want to just give a big shout out to all the workers all of the people who have been working tirelessly at the Rocky Creek Slide, and to congratulate everyone, including us, for being able now to have more access to Highway 1. I'm just so pleased because it is such a major hit on the businesses when people cannot get into sort of like Big Sur Village or downtown Big Sur, as I sometimes think about it. At any rate, as you know, for the last couple of weeks, only residents and essential workers were able to go through using the daily convoys with Caltrans and CHP to drive in. But beginning of yesterday, the convoys have been adjusted to allow all visitors to enter Big Sur at the same time. It's important to note that the daytime visitors need to adhere to the convoy timeline, meaning you can go in from the north heading south starting at 7 a.m., and it only goes for an hour, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then again, open for the convoy from 5 to 6. But only people who have proof of accommodations, overnight accommodations, like campground or hotel reservations, can enter Big Sur going south with the evening convoy, because they do not want people to go down and, all of a sudden they're stuck because they can't get out. It would be an unnecessary use of resources if people did run into any problems with that. So I just want to make it clear that you cannot go down on cannot head south on the 5 o'clock convoy unless you are a total local resident down there within the area, or you have a proof of overnight accommodations. The next milestone for Caltrans, that we're working to stabilize the southbound lane for a temporary signal light, and that will be installed by Memorial Day weekend. At the rate Caltrans has been going, it wouldn't shock me if they come in on an earlier date, but they've really been doing excellent work. And then that traffic light would allow for one-way traffic controlled access to Big Sur and from Big Sur 24/7. So that means that we would be able to have, as soon as the signal light is installed, the convoys won't be needed any longer. So that's going to be another just huge change. People need to remember, though, that they cannot get to Santa Barbara by driving down Highway 1 just because they're able to get through at the Rocky Creek Slide, because the road is still closed further south. So that's I think the most important things I have to say. We've got the Economic Development Committee that's going to be meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and Thursday we have the Cannabis Committee that'll be meeting at 2 o'clock. And then Saturday, May 4th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. will be the 50th anniversary celebration of the Big Sur Fire and International Firefighters Day. The event is going to be located at their headquarters, which is at Post Ranch Inn in Big Sur. If you choose to go down for that, remember, you gotta be in the convoy. So I just wanted to make that comment and thank all the people down in Big Sur who have just been so wonderful about what they're facing. I think one of the comments that I've heard is that, they have the responsibility in their hearts for protecting that area. They have the problem with all the tourism, and they get very little of the benefit. So thank you to everybody that's working on it, Caltrans workers especially. Thanks.
Make sure you check the details on your convoy or get a helicopter, right? Supervisor Askew.
Great, thank you. A couple announcements to make. I wanted to appreciate and thank the Seaside Family Health Center staff for welcoming some local representatives from the city of Marina, who we took on a tour of the Seaside Family Health Center last week. It was a great opportunity to sort of highlight the disparity between the Marina Health Clinic as it currently exists and what a state-of-the-art health clinic should and will hopefully look like in the future in Marina. So really appreciate the health department for making that tour possible. And then yesterday, I had the opportunity to join Joby Aviation for a small groundbreaking ceremony. Joby, thanks to the $9.8 million Cal Competes grant that they were awarded earlier this year, broke ground on a new facility that will more than double Joby's manufacturing footprint in California. A kind of cool surprise yesterday was the second eVTOL aircraft has rolled off the production line and was available for the employees and public to take a look at. Just really appreciate the partnership that Joby has provided for bringing in local workers to expand their capacity for engaging in this sort of high-tech aerospace engineering space. So it was a great chance to be together with them. I want to announce that our next Wednesdays with Wendy, our sort of online virtual town halls, will be held on May 1st, and we'll be welcoming Ezequiel Vega for a presentation on the county budget. We'll be welcoming comments, questions. In addition to Ezequiel, we've invited the Department of Social Services to join us to talk a little bit about some of the budget impacts that state cuts will have on that department and the ways in which our residents may end up feeling some of those cuts. So we wanted to bring some attention to that. But yeah, look forward to having an afternoon to be able to get back to work in the office today. So thanks.
Supervisor Alejo.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to thank my colleagues, Supervisor Askew, Supervisor Lopez's staff was there yesterday at the Alisal Integrated Health Clinic. I really want to commend all the staff of the Health Department, the Behavioral Health Bureau. I know there was a lot of people involved, but to bring a $22 million integrated health clinic, which means it has the mental health services, but it also has medical services to serve the people of East Salinas. It's really a historic thing because I think it's our greatest investment in that part of this city in decades. So I just want to commend that collaboration. Yesterday it was talked about, they mentioned the land swap between the city of Salinas and the county to make this clinic possible in that particular neighborhood. So it came out very beautiful. I want to just really commend everybody really involvement in that. And then there's a community room, which is going to be open to the public there. So it's a meeting space for the neighborhood as well. There's a lot of exciting things happening, and I just want to commend our partnership with the city of Salinas and this amazing investment that took place. This past week, I also was honored to speak at the Salinas Fire Department's promotional ceremony. The first time I got invited to speak at the Salinas Fire Department's an event of theirs, but it was really nicely attended. They not only awarded the promotions, but they also honored some honorees, their Firefighters of the Year, and certainly their Young Explorer program is very promising because it's that pipeline to get more of our local youth into great careers in as firefighters. So I want to commend the Salinas Fire Department for bringing back that program for our youth. I'm having my budget housing town hall coming up on Thursday, May 23rd. I want to thank our county staff that is assisting me with that. It's going to be at 6 p.m. at the Gavilan Library in North Salinas. And we will be focusing on the county budget to solicit input from Salinas residents. Everyone's invited, but also since we are deploying our draft of our housing element on May 9th, I also want to have opportunity for residents to give their feedback. Certainly there's a lot of opinions on the housing needs of residents in Monterey County. The last thing I would say is this Sunday is Cinco de Mayo, and I always like reminding folks that it's not just a day to have barbecues and celebrate, but there's historic meaning of why it's important in our country. Primarily because this started out as a Mexican-American celebration, celebrated more in the United States, as the Mexican-American community was trying to bring more events to celebrate Mexican culture in the United States. But this day commemorates when the Mexican army, its unlikely victory against by mostly indigenous, under-equipped campesinos over the powerful French forces at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862, under the leadership of General Ignacio Zaragoza. This is a story about the underdogs overcoming all the odds as they fought for their liberties. And so I just want to make sure that we're acknowledging what the day is truly all about. The only other question I had, hopefully for our CEO, I know we had a presentation that was supposed to happen by Cal-Am Water. It was pulled. The question was just, when is that coming back? Because they were on the agenda, they were pulled off. but it's been about a month and a half, and I haven't seen that presentation put on, and it was only for information, so I don't know why it would be controversial.
So that is something that we've been discussing with the chair, Church, and we are still looking to potentially revisit, but that's where we're at. And with that, the thought is to try to bring them all forward, as I believe was done maybe 2 years ago. So we anticipate that it'll likely be June or July, but I'm waiting for confirmation with Supervisor Church.
Okay, I get that, but this was requested by one of our water providers. The other, I don't think we got any other requests from any other water providers in the county, so why hold up for something that wasn't requested by any of them?
In response to that item being posted, we were contacted by other water suppliers or resource folks, and that was the idea, is to try to bring them all at the same time as opposed to bring one and then have the others follow, to really just envelope all of them. So since the day was posted, there were emails that came in as well, identifying some of the data that was going to be shared that they also wanted to speak to. So the thought was maybe just to have it be a broader discussion similar to what was held, I believe, in 2022.
Okay. All right. Chair Supervisor Church.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor. Just kind of going back to your comments there, Supervisor Alejo, there was, I totally concur with CIO De La Rosa on that. There was some misunderstanding and how this got on the agenda. So I think we're trying to rectify that in the right way so that there really is a full discussion onto that.
Thank you.
Looking back at a couple things going on or have gone on in my district here, and for my comments, did have a really good meeting with Congresswoman Lofgren last week. She was down, impressed with her. We have really good representation. We have 2 Congress people, of course, who are instead of 1, and she's had some, had a lot to see and a lot of new people to meet since she's been into this new territory, so to speak, from her years. But I'm always really impressed. I can speak to her. Last week we had Earth Day, and I mentioned that there was an event out at the Moss Landing Marine Labs. There was actually one out also at the Elkhorn Slough Foundation, and both are always well attended on that. Also want to wish everyone happy Cinco de Mayo, and there is a Cinco de Mayo event out at the Prudendale American Legion that I saw. I didn't catch any others in the district. I'm assuming there probably are some. I'm sure there's some in Salinas, and completely concur with Supervisor Alejo's comments in his history. I'm presenting that, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just share a couple brief things. One is that our art competition, We Are Southern Monterey County, is open now. If you've got any art to submit that reflects the beauty and nature of Southern Monterey County, you'd be eligible for that no matter where you live. Look forward to folks submitting. Our South County Young Leaders Program applications are now out there as well and open, so invite folks to apply, or especially our young people who have an interest in public service. I want to thank Supervisor Alejo for standing in for me this weekend in Gonzales, where we had the groundbreaking for the new community center that this board wisely invested in a couple of years ago. Our $1.8 million will go towards the creation of the new public library space within that community center in Gonzales. It was a well-attended event with lots of great speakers, including the Congresswoman, the state senator, and Supervisor Alejo, as well as the city council holding it down for South County. And the Gonzales High Band apparently did the intro for Supervisor Alejo. He showed up and walked in right behind him, so we thank them for their musical number. But I also want to just share that last night we had a very good meeting that was on a tough subject, which is closing the left-hand crossings on 101 between Salinas and Chular. That meeting took place in the community of Chular because some of the potential mitigations or fixes lead to additional traffic trips of large trucks through that community. So it was well attended. Of course, the initial reaction from folks was, why is this the first time I'm hearing about it? I was lucky to be able to share it because this is the first time we've aired it and you're getting in on the ground floor. But it was well attended. I want to thank my staff who went door to door knocking at the end of last week to make sure the community was aware. Caltrans had about 10 representatives in the room. TAMC was in the room. Our sheriff's department was in the room. CHP was in the room. So was our public works department. And the school opened up their facility. So it was a really well-attended event. And I even shared our CAO story about getting stuck on the off-ramp and leading to some of the great changes that are coming just in changing signage to improve flow of traffic as it currently exists. But I just want to share that comment to share with folks if you've got concerns. That conversation is just starting and will be ongoing as we look to solutions to save lives in that corridor where we just recently lost another young man in the last month and a half. So just wanted to share that with community from this dais. And so with that, I also want to share that unfortunately I have sad news. We will have an official adjournment memory coming at a future date, but we did lose a county employee from the Soledad Library, Denise Campos, last Friday, and so our thoughts are with her coworkers and her dear friends, but we will bring forward an official adjourn in memory in a very near meeting. But with that, we've concluded board comments. I'm going to turn to council and see if we have anything to report out of closed session.
No reportable action.
Great, thank you. Then with that, we'll go to Supervisor Alejo to lead us out with an adjourn in memory.
Yeah, we're going to put a photo up on the screen here. Thank you. Today we are adjourning in the Board of Supervisors meeting in honor of El Señor Josafat Saldaña Arias. He was one of our honorees last September of the first Bracero History Recognition Week. He was our oldest honoree that was sitting in these chambers at 103 years of age. Josafat Saldaña Arias was born on November 13, 1920 in San Bernardino, Guanajuato, Mexico, and passed away on April 18, 2024 at the age of 103 here in Salinas, California. He was a proud father of 12 children. He provided for his family by migrating between Mexico and the United States to work as a bracero. The Bracero program allowed millions of Mexican workers to provide highly skilled labor in the agricultural and railroad industries during a critical period in United States history, including World War II. As a bracero worker, he labored in California, Texas, Arizona, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Josafat contributed immensely to our nation's agricultural industry and to our nation's economy. He helped lay a foundation for a better future and greater opportunities for his family and for many generations to come. He believed in the farm worker rights movement and marched alongside Dolores Huerta and the late Cesar Chavez during his lifetime. Josafat Saldaña Arias leaves behind 8 children, 19 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren. We want to express our deepest condolences to all his family members, his friends, and his loved ones. He will be missed by all who knew him. So today, the Monterey County Board of Supervisors will adjourn its meeting in memory of Josafat Saldaña Arias out of respect for his sacrifices, contributions, and leadership in the agriculture industry in Monterey County and to our nation. May he rest in peace. Last Thursday, I attended Señor Saldaña Arias' rosary to express my condolences personally to his family and his friends, and out of respect as an elder in our community. These original braceros are slowly leaving us. My grandmother used to say, don't bring me flowers when I'm no longer here. Bring them when I could smell them, touch them, and see them. So I was proud that when this man was alive, we were able to give him those honors when he could see him, touch him, and feel him last September. No government at any level had ever given these men any recognition during their lifetimes for all he did for our families and for our nation. So I want to thank my colleagues for honoring this man. It meant a lot to him and his family, and we adjourn in his memory today. Thank you.
May he rest in power. We're adjourned.